I'm Antony Starr, and this is the Wired Complete Interview. First question. Tommy Nook. Anyone else find themselves copying Homelander's mannerisms in a video? That's actually interesting. That was after a rally where I skip and I hallucinate my father. That moment of me going has been my favorite meme. A lot of memes have come out of this character in this show. That's my favorite because people blew the cheeks up and it just became, it went everywhere and it's so funny. What a great mannerism role model Homelander is. That's the only thing you should copy that character does. Kirby Brass. What's the most fucked up thing Homelander did? Wow. I think the most fucked up thing Homelander did is in season 5, which I can't spoil, obviously. I can't wait for you to see that. But up to then, 2 things with planes. Waving to a little kid in a plane in episode 1, the last scene, and then lasering the plane in half and letting the child and his father plunge to their demise. That was pretty bad. And then another plane in episode 4, I think it was, season 1, was leaving a whole plane load of passengers to die. Probably not great. People bring up pushing the son off the roof. I think that's good parenting. See, I just think that that's like old school fathering. When, you know, the kid falls over, yeah, your knee looks fine, there's no blood, get on with it. Plus, he knew that the kid had superpowers, so he was gonna be all right. So the kid learned a valuable lesson. And I also thought the little squeal that Ryan, the son, Cameron, made as he went off the roof, I think that's the hardest I laughed up to that point in the show. Calendar Duel 1487, fear of heights. How do people with this phobia manage flying? I think the more you do something, the less afraid you get. Having said that, I've been flying a lot lately, and I just flew in yesterday, and there was a big bump, and I grabbed the little old lady next to me. I literally grabbed her arm because I don't like heights, and I thought I'd dealt with it, but I haven't. One of them shots, it was actually on Gen V, the spin-off series. I had to fly in to the scene. Didn't think about it. Stunt guy goes, oh yeah, we're gonna put you up on the ropes, these little like piano wire, thin wires that go onto the harness. I never thought about, that's a long way off the ground. So they clipped me in, harnessed me up, about 40 feet up, which was halfway. I started going, oh, this is not good. And I started swearing a lot. Fuck off. I think it was 85 feet at the top, and I was freaking out. That was actually a moment that really enlightened me as to, like, I really do have a fear of heights that I didn't realize I had. Look, I'm still here. So I say go into it. If you can, find ways to challenge that fear. The Reason Seeker asks, do you think there's any real humanity left in Homelander, or is he just a rabid animal? Interesting choice of words. I think there is humanity left in him, and I think that is basically the character's main issue with himself. If we look at Homelander as an inverted Superman, his kryptonite has been his humanity that he's always wanted to be rid of, but unfortunately, he can't because he is actually a man. I can't think of what a redemption arc would look like for this character, so I'm gonna say he's like 50-50 human and rabid animal. Hi, I love this, asks, will the boys be next to join the list of controversial, some bad endings or provide a satisfying conclusion? Has any show ever provided an ending that satisfies everyone? I don't know that you can. I think, you know, because everyone's different and everyone wants different things, but something just finished, I won't say what, and nobody died. I was scratching my head at the end going, there's nowhere else to go. This is the end of the run. Kill some people. As our boss, Eric, has said, don't get attached to any characters on this show because everyone's head is potentially on the block. Jared MMS asks, does Homelander genuinely think he's a hero? Yeah, you know, I think in his heart of hearts he knows that some of the things he does seem to have bad consequences. But I think in the moment as well, he just acts on impulse. I think he's so corrupted. You know, bad people don't walk around thinking they're bad people. They just walk around doing what they do because that's what they've learned to do to survive. So I think, yeah, he probably does think he's a hero because since such a young age, he's just been brainwashed into thinking that. He also would prefer to be a god, which is a little bit of a step up. The Nice Tettenbar asks, this is perhaps my favorite shot of Homelander in the entire series. The emotion on my face makes you genuinely feel sorry for him. And it is a side we've never seen from him. This is when potential love of his life, Stormfront, she's blown up by Homelander's son. And this is him coming across her charred remains. Oh. Well, first of all, I think it's a lovely shot, and I think the slow-mo does a lot to sell the impact. I would push back a little bit. There's actually moments through the show when we do see a lot of weakness. I think that's one of the things I love about the character is that we've been able to go there and really flesh it out, to provide a reason for why he is what he is, but it doesn't necessarily engender empathy, but we do understand, and I think that makes it a much more compelling villain. No Amphibian 6039. Any reason Hollywood psychopaths or villains drink milk? And there's me drinking milk. There's Hans Lauder, was it? From Inglourious Bastards. The infamous Javier Bardem in No Country for Old Men. And then we've got Jean Reno from Leon and Malcolm McDowell and his Droog accompaniment. Why do they drink milk? Good question. Well, first of all, I would argue as well that at least Jean Reno, even though he's a hitman in that movie, he becomes the protector of this abused young girl. So not necessarily a bad guy, but he's a very tough guy and he's a hitman. And I think, you know, it's the thing about opposites. You know, you've got the worst people with basically like such a childish little wholesome drink. I mean, that's what you're taught as a child, like glass of milk a day, you know, that's good for your bones, which I don't think it is. Just saying broccoli's better. I think it's that. I think it's like the worst people drinking the most innocent, like childish drink. And I think it's a good mix of opposites. Under the Wet Stars. Antony Starr does so much with his face. At every moment, you can see the tiny nuances in Homelander's thoughts and feelings evolving as rapidly and fluidly as in reality with a clip. Yeah, that was just after I killed someone and got away with it. This has been said a lot, and I'm always like, oh, very grateful it's a lovely thing to say. I don't plan any of it. I'm a nerd when it comes to the writing and the script and really working on the scenes, getting everything super down so I know exactly what every line, every moment means, and then throw that all away because that's all in there. And then just leave it to Beaver and leave it up to the moment and see what happens. Because you're never alone. You're always reacting off someone else, right? Unless 90% of the time anyway. So it's all pretty spontaneous. And I think as long as you've got the thoughts going on, if you're thinking as the character, this does the rest. Optimistic Doc. That was fucking diabolical. What was the scene that made you think, what the fuck? And let's watch Carl with the laser baby.
What you learn, son?
That was fucking diabolical. What was the scene that made me think, what the fuck? Actually, when in season 4, Firecracker had been taking hormones to produce breast milk, and she reveals that to me by squirting some in my face. And then in that moment, I realize what she's done for me, and the loyalty and devotion is something that really catches the character's heart. We played it like a love scene. You know, we both got a little misty, and it was so delicate and nice. You did this for me, and it became so beautiful and like a lover's moment about the most ridiculous thing that we've shot in the show. And I remember after one take, just looking at Val going, what the fuck are we doing? That was the moment I was like, I could have been a lawyer. an accountant. I could have done anything, and now this is how I'm earning my money. Jaded communication. Why do people even try to commit crimes in this universe? Good point. Really good point. Again, if they didn't, we wouldn't have much of a show. But I think it's human nature. Like, people do bad things. So I think wherever you take people, there's going to be a mix, and there's always going to be light and shade. And I'm glad they do, because we literally wouldn't have a show again. Plenty Salary 97001. What is your favorite fight scene from The Boys and why? I haven't had a lot, which is kind of great because I'm 50 years old and I don't like doing that shit anymore. It's really hard on the body. It would be when Soldier Boy and Butcher try and take me out. That was great. That was really fun. Our stunt coordinator, John Koyama, he's now won 2 Emmys for the show, and he's brilliant. It's tough because, you know, we're not a Marvel movie. We don't have the money that they have. So within that, there's a lot of different constraints. So to be as creative as John is and create the sequences that he's created is just amazing. But it was just a really cool, fun fight, you know, with these great moments in between where my character doesn't realize that Butch's character has superpowers now, and it's like, what's wrong? What? You should be dead. And it's just really fun to do. And Jack Quaid, who has a temporary superpower of he can teleport, but in the teleportation process, he loses all clothes, so he just turns up naked everywhere. So he nakedly joins the fight. So there's this very typical strain of humor in this very serious moment, which is one of the hallmarks of the show. I'm gonna mangle this name, apologize. Irohit Jaglan. Who is the most hated character on the show? So we're seeing me, go figure. Aya Cash, that played Stormfront, that was the season 2 girlfriend of Homelander. The Deep, who's kind of an idiot, and A-Train is like a pro athlete just trying to hold on to his career as he goes into decline. So the most hated character on the show, I think the lovely human being Aya Cash that played Stormfront, she got a lot of hate, which means 1, she did a fantastic job. 2, the character was a seasoned antagonist, so it was perfect. 3, she got blown up at the end, and that's the best thing that could happen to a Nazi, so... It's Rye Guy 24. Can we just talk about for a second how fucking spot on the casting of this TV show is? I actually agree. I think it's been really well cast. Interestingly, they got 2 people from New Zealand to play a guy from England and a guy from America. So, thanks.
Is there any casting where you're like, wow, this person brought something to the script that I didn't see in the script?
Maybe Chase Crawford, who plays the Deep. Like, I didn't expect him to be quite so funny. Every time we're doing a scene, like, I can barely get through it when we're doing his coverage because he goes off script a lot and adds and subtracts, and he's just hysterical. Aside from them being perfectly cast for their characters, everyone across the board, just a really great bunch of people. You know, when I came on, Eric said he had a no asshole policy, and it's 100% right. And so it's been really great. We've had 5 seasons over 8 years. And as we go around doing the press for this last season, catching up with everyone and getting to say goodbye to each other and the show that's been such a big part of our lives has just been amazing. Secret Asian Man? New to the show, but why doesn't Homelander just kill the boys? Well, then we don't have a show. That would be like a 5-minute YouTube clip. They've come to blows a few times over the seasons. But you know, we're in season 5, so who knows what will happen. But what I will say is nothing is going to be left to the imagination. So good shit to look forward to. Night Force asks, I believe in the boys Butcher is the real villain and Homelander is not a villain. Amen. What I would say is that if he's not the villain, he is a serial killer. I don't really think you could debate whether Homie's the bad guy or not. It's pretty clear Homelander's the bad guy and Butcher's not a great guy, but at least he's got his heart's in the right place and he's trying to do the right thing, just the wrong way. Quirky Data 3500. What makes Homelander one of the greatest villains in television? Oh, that's kind of you. I don't know if I can answer that because it's weird talking about yourself in that context. But what I would say is what makes him compelling. I think one of the things that we've tried to do since day one is not go for the mustache twirly villain, really tried to go into the backstory and explain why he is who he is and what he is. And I think people find that compelling, you know? It's a lot more complex than superheroes, I'm gonna say used to be, because I think audiences now expect a lot more from a villain. You know, my favorite villain, and I keep mentioning Marvel, but my favorite villain of recent memory is Thanos, because I think he was doing a horrific thing, but he had such a good philosophy behind it about like balancing the universe. And there's a little part of me that's like, he's got a pretty good point, you know. I don't think Homelander has anywhere near the same philosophy or intention, but you know, the point being, like he's complex. You know, there's more to him than just the bad guy, and I think people respond to that. Improvement Thin 235. What would be Homelander's ideal in fantasy world where he can truly do whatever the fuck he wants? Ooh. Well, the character, you know, is threatened from quite a long time ago that he'll just end the world and kill everyone. But then the one thing that he craves is love and adoration. So difficult to know where that would sit. I don't think there is one. I really don't, because of that contradiction and who he is. Again, like his humanity is his kryptonite, so he desperately needs people, but hates the humanity in himself. That's the dilemma for him, is that he will never get what he wants because he can never accept his own truth. Okay, guys, that's all the questions I got. I learned a lot, and I hope you learned a little something too.